We're live. Hey folks, welcome to StreamingChurch.tv. This is our live video blog, and we are live, of course, right here in Rockin' Java, which is in Tucson, Arizona. We do this usually every Thursday evening here at this coffee shop, which also happens to be the campus of a church that I go to, as well as Steve Lacey, who happens to be producing this show behind the cameras. And so we actually have church here on the weekends, but this is a real live coffee shop, and sometimes we're in different locations of the coffee shop. Today we're actually right in the middle of the coffee shop. Well, sort of, we're off to the side here. So if you hear noises, music, coffee cups, dishes crashing, people arguing about things, it's just normal here, okay? But my name is Phil Thompson. Welcome to our live video blog. It's great to have you here. I work for Streaming Church TV, and today we're going to talk a little bit different. We talk usually about streaming subjects for churches, streaming broadcasting, but because the subject we're talking about today really does tie into it, we're going to talk about social media. And social media is a buzzword that's been going around here for the last couple of years or so. Most people I know of don't really fully understand what social media really is. And honestly, that's okay because it's changed a lot over the last few years. So today with us is a very special guest. His name is Chris Porter. Chris, how are you today?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you doing?
Welcome. Thank you very much for being with us. You work for the J3 Effect.
That is correct.
And there is a link down below the chat here to the J3 Effect website. You can look at that later. That's a company that helps people with websites as well as social media. So today, Chris, what we want to talk a little bit about today, and by the way, I like your hat too, by the way. Okay.
I like yours, though.
Thank you very much. You are a pastor's son.
That's correct. Yeah, PK.
Yeah, you're a PK, and I actually know your parents and didn't really put it together until really probably a month or two ago that you were your parents' child. Didn't make a lot of sense, did it? But you're actually a PK, and I knew your parents from back in the 80s. And I don't know how long you've been around, but
about that time.
About that time, so you're probably a little tot when I probably saw you running around. That means I'm old. But now you're really tall. So
I am.
And your Twitter name is what? Tall Chris?
Yep, 6'7" tall Chris.
6'7" tall Chris. Are you 6'7"?
I am 6'7".
Wow, that's pretty good. Okay. Well, look, let's talk a little bit about social media. Social media, again, as I was saying, a buzzword. What is social media? Tell us what social media is.
I have to say that I'm not an expert at all of this. I use it frequently. I'm constantly learning new things. I do use a lot of social media. So to me, what social media is using digital tools to connect with people. You could think of that. I mean, technically, email is social media, but it's less social, more just connecting with people. So a good definition might be where it's more of a public discourse where other people can see when you're talking and they can jump in that conversation. So it's really having conversations online. Of course, Facebook fits into that. Twitter fits into that. YouTube is actually a social media platform. People are having video talks back and forth. They're posting video replies to people. So it's not just a place to put old TV shows or pirated videos, but people are actually having conversations on YouTube and joining in conversation. So
okay, so social media has really become a place where people can connect. Mm-hmm. But what about the church? I mean, is this something that the church, that people that are pastors, people that are involved in ministry, is this something that the church should be interested in?
Absolutely, Phil. Well, that's a great question. I think the answer is definitely yes. I see it as a telephone. It's there where people can pick up the phone and call you and talk to you. The benefit is that other people can see what you're saying and can jump in that conversation. So it goes back to what is the purpose of the church? Is it to help people in their community? Is it to reach out to their members? If the answer to those questions are yes, social media can help to answer those questions. The thing to do is to not spend 12 hours a day, 24 hours a day playing around in social media and not being effective. So I think the real questions that dive in, it's not should a church be involved in this, it's how to really be effective at it, and how can we learn and grow using that social media to reach our goals as a church.
Okay, now we're speaking, if you just joined us, we're speaking live here with Chris Porter. He's with the J3 Effect, and Chris and I are talking here live at Rockin' Java about social media. If you have a question for Chris, you can chat right here with us right now. You can just chat the question, type the question in, and oh, there I am over on this camera. You can type that in, and if you have any questions, we'll certainly try our very best to help you with that. So my question to you, Chris, is, okay, so you're saying, all right, the church should be involved in social media. How should they do that? I mean, where should they start? What's a good starting point? Because it seems overwhelming. I mean, especially if you're not used to it. I mean, typically churches and ministries are a little bit behind the curve anyhow on things. Now more and more people are streaming, broadcasting live, which is what we do for churches. But you do the social media thing. So how should they start? What's the first step a church should take when it comes to getting involved in social media?
Okay. I would say the very first step is to start using it personally. Start failing, start trying things, create a Twitter account that you don't necessarily intend to keep, and learn, make mistakes, and go from there, and spend very little time. Do 5 minutes a day trying it out, and try Twitter. You should have a Facebook account and start using it and start understanding the way to interact on it. From there, it would probably depend on the demographics of the church, where it is, or is it tech savvy, is it not tech savvy. A good starting place might be Facebook, but before you ever even create a Facebook fan page for the church, you want to have some people that are in charge of it, that know what's going on and can moderate, can be what we think of as community managers, where if someone posts a negative response, somebody else that's a community manager that either works for the church or is a volunteer can go on and say, I'm sorry that happened to you. Here, how can we help? So social media is a telephone. You want to have someone picking up the phone on the other end of the line. Now,
that's a good point. You mentioned, you used the analogy of a telephone, because it's one thing to have a Twitter account or have a Facebook account and have it for your church, but it's another thing to actually man it, to actually pay some attention to it. And I found in my experiences that a lot of ministries don't really, maybe they've taken the first step and they've created a Facebook page for their church, or maybe they have created it, but then it's like, they're done. Come on, we're out of here, and then people are responding to it and there's like nobody on the other end.
That's probably one of the greatest social media failures, is creating an account and then never doing anything with it. Or one person gets really fired up about it, they start it, and then something they leave or something happens, and you have this account there. Conversations are taking place, but the church staff doesn't know about it. People aren't responding to it. So that's setting up policies and procedures within the church of how are we going to use this? Is it for internal use? If so, create a Facebook group that's closed that only church members can get into. If it's to bring new members in, then you want to create a fan page. So I would say it all starts with the strategy. What do you want to accomplish in social media? And then find those platforms that line up with that strategy and do those. Okay,
and let me bring this up, as some of you might be wondering, because normally we talk about streaming, helping your church broadcast online, those kind of things. Why are we talking about social media today in this coffee shop? Well, it's because it's fine to be broadcasting and streaming your services, and your people in your church stay home and watch it, or are sick, and they can't go. But why are you streaming, or why are you even thinking about broadcasting on the internet? Why you even have a website? It's got to be more than just your own church. You want to reach people, right? You want to be able to reach people. Well, how are you going to reach people? Well, there's different ways to do that. Google AdWords, advertising, and those kind of things. But social media can help you step outside of your boundaries and reach people literally all over the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, the whole thing with Osama bin Laden, somebody tweeted the thing, even before it was going down, because some helicopters flew over the guy's house, you know, and he, oh, there's some helicopters around here, wonder what's going on. You know, it ended up being our SEAL team jumping in, and so you can reach people through Twitter or Facebook. Those are the two big things, I think, and you can expound on that in a moment. But you want to reach people. You want to get people to watch your streaming services live or your archives. And so social media is a way to do that, right? A way to connect with people.
Absolutely.
All right, go ahead.
I think probably my favorite platform right now is Twitter. There's a large learning curve to it. You have to be willing to fail. You have to try things in a public discourse and maybe make a fool of yourself, and then correct that. And, you know, the biggest words I think in social media are "thank you," "please," and "I'm sorry." If you can say those things, you can do social media effectively.
That's why I do it so well. That's why I do it so well. Yeah.
So on Twitter, you can do. I use a software called TweetDeck, and you can zero in for a geolocation. And if someone mentions the word God within 5 miles of this coffee shop, you can see it, and it pops up on your computer, it notifies you, and you can then converse with that person. So, you know, within 100 miles of your church, if someone's saying, like, I'm hurting, I'm broken, or I'm going through a divorce, or, you know, something happening, I believe the church is there to help people like this. Well, you can find those people that are having that conversation, or at least just tweeting out, hey, this is what's going on in my life, and someone can jump in and say, you know, let me pray with you, let me help you, and then go from there, maybe plug them into a church. Or my ideal would be churches all around the country helping anyone in social media and plugging, you know, so if you're on social media, you know someone in South Carolina that's hurting, right. And you, oh, hey, I happen to know a pastor there. Let me plug you into that church. Here's his Twitter handle. Hey, pastor, you should talk to this person. You know, here's when their services are.
Right.
So that's an effective use of churches helping each other to reach people in social media.
I'm using TweetDeck right now to tweet what I'm doing here. But Ryan had a question here online. By the way, if you have a question for us, folks, oh, here I am. We're in a coffee shop. Somebody's grinding beans right now, okay? We've got music in the background, live music in the background, because Ezra from Alive Church is doing his new venue called The Anchor. He's getting ready for that. By the way, if you want to come down to see that, we're at Twin Peaks here, just I-10 and Twin Peaks, okay? Ryan had a question, and by the way, if you have questions, again, keep them coming. Ryan's question to you, Chris, is what is the most effective way to use social media during live services? So I'm assuming he's saying, okay, we're streaming our services live right now. What's the most effective way to use it during the live service? I've got some input on that, but go ahead. I want to hear from you too.
All right, great.
I'll put you on the spot. All right. Where are we at? Over here or over there?
I think it would probably be reinforcing the message. You know, so the pastor's talking, he's making a great point, and someone else tweets out that point that he made. I guess a question that comes to my mind is, do you want the parishioners, the people sitting in the pews, you know, on their iPhones or iPads tweeting out as you're doing it?
We do, actually.
Okay.
At a live church, we do.
Okay.
But there's a reason for that, and
Right.
I'll tell you what it is in a minute. Go ahead.
I would probably be too distracted.
Yeah.
But I think if, you know, how does it fit in your church strategy? You've decided, okay, this is how we're going to use it. And so then it fits into your whole strategy. So again, it goes back to, you know, what is your strategy?
Having a plan.
You know, if your plan is to try and get people that aren't in a church to come and join in, I think reinforcing the message is good. You know, you can blast the message. I personally believe the best use of social media is individually connecting one-on-one with people, discovering what's going on in their life, and then connecting them to other people. And if you do that throughout the week, then when Sunday happens and you do a broadcast message, there's people that are listening to it. Because if all you ever do is broadcast and you never listen and you're never engaging with people individually, then you're not being effective, in my opinion. Okay. You know, I see billboards all the time.
Right.
But when I run into someone and they tell me, hey, you should go to Rock and Java, I'm much more likely to go there than if I see a billboard.
Right.
You know, and so if you use Twitter as a billboard, then I don't see it as effective. What would you say?
Well, okay, and my answer to Ryan's question would be, we stream it when we were doing our services live. We literally will tweet it and we'll maybe in hashtags, and again, you have to understand Twitter, but hashtags, we'll like say the subject of what we're talking about. Like if we're doing a series on fear, overcoming your fears, we will tweet that live streaming service on overcoming your fears. We'll put the link to our streaming website. We will even put a hashtag that says maybe live church service or hashtag fear, a subject that would pop up. One of the things that you mentioned earlier, and you're talking about Twitter, okay? I just pulled up my tweet deck. You mentioned tweet deck, so I don't know if we can zoom in and get a picture of this or not, but if let's see if I can do it here. We're going to go mobile here, okay? We can just go. You want to go right over here? Can you get this? Can you see it? That's a tweet deck. You got a good picture of that?
It's my favorite piece of software.
Can you see it? Yeah. That's a tweet deck, okay? That's software that is Twitter, but I have several Twitter accounts. A live church, which I happen to work for a live church besides StreamingChurch TV. There's people I follow on Twitter. In fact, if you look close, I don't know if you can see it with the glare, but there's even some direct messages from you, Chris, because we were talking, getting ready for that today. So TweetDeck is another way. And again, we can't necessarily, we don't have a lot of time here to give people a tutorial on Twitter, but check it out. There are lots of tools out there. And again, Chris could even help you. What's your email address, Chris? Is there a simple one, or should we just go to J3Effect?
A simple one would be Christopher.j3effect@gmail. That's
Christopher. Okay. Say that again?
Christopher.j3effect@gmail.com.
Okay, and Chris would field a lot of your questions later on. We've got a question here from PG. How can we increase our ministry fan page signups on Facebook? So they have a fan page. Good idea. Having a fan page for your church. Good idea. How can they increase the signups? How can they get people to go to that fan page and sign up to be a fan? Okay. Any ideas?
Yeah. Again, I always approach everything from the strategy. So how are you doing this? Is it implemented church-wide where all the people on staff know about this? Do they know how it's integrated into what's going on? Are they talking about it? I think one-on-one interaction is the best. So if it fits in with what the pastor's doing and the pastor posts his notes on Facebook, and then he's talking to someone and says, I talked about this in my Sunday sermon. In fact, my Sunday sermon, it's on the Facebook page. If you want to go there, you can refer back to it. So those one-on-one interactions are probably the best.
Okay, so let me back up here. Let me just, because you're going fast here.
Okay.
And I understand that's okay. So number one, get everybody in your church, on your staff, your leadership, your staff, your volunteers, get everybody involved in the Facebook fan page. Get them all. Start with who you got. Yep. You got everybody in your church. Let everybody know you've got a fan page. I happen to be the interim campus pastor here at Twin Peaks, and one of the things I mention a lot is check us out. AliveChurch.com has a fan page. Just go to Facebook.com/AliveChurchTucson. I say that in front of people almost every weekend, okay? Because I want to get people in our church signed up for it, okay? And as you've said to me before, it multiplies. It's like a seed that multiplies. So get your staff involved in it. Start posting things on it that are relative, right? Stuff that's good information, good material. What we do is we put not just stuff about a live church, but we also put stuff worldwide on there as well.
Yep.
Stuff Christians like, those kind of things, right?
Well, that fits in the strategy of being an informational resource for people about your church, about what your beliefs are. A good model that Chris Brogan uses is, 20%, or he actually says out of 10 tweets, 10 of them should be about other people, and one of them should be about you. So that's actually 11 tweets. So, when I'm thinking of a Facebook strategy, I would do 20% your own content, 80% what else is out there. Good books, scripture verses.
videos.
If I'm sitting here talking to you, I get sick and tired if you just talk about yourself the whole time.
But I like talking about myself.
Going back to a social analogy,
Okay, sure.
it's social media.
Right.
So if you're missing the social component where it's not a back and forth where you're sharing other people's content. If you're in a denomination, sharing the denomination's content, you should have other pages of people that you're working with. If you donate to a missionary, you should have his other page listed there. So really networking everything together to be an integrated strategy with what is the vision of the church, and that Facebook page lines up with the vision.
And you bring up something really important, Chris, and we talk about this a lot with streaming. People that broadcast their services live using StreamingChurch TV, your leadership has to be behind it. Senior pastors obviously got to be excited about it, and the leadership has to be involved in it. And I think it would be the same way with social media, Facebook fan pages, Twitter accounts. If your leadership team is not excited about it, if they're not behind it, if they don't recognize the value of it, it's probably not going to get too far, is it?
Absolutely.
I want to give kudos to Mike Gray. Mike Gray is one of our pastors at Alive Church. And I want to give kudos to Mike because Mike has done a great job with the social media part of AliveChurch.com.
Yeah.
And again, he's built a lot of our stuff there. But so if you're looking at I would say a decent fan page. I mean, we're probably not the best fan page at all, but we got some decent stuff going on. Just go to facebook.com/AliveChurch.com. No, I'm sorry, /AliveChurch Tucson. So facebook.com/AliveChurch Tucson. That's our fan page. And again, it's not the best, but he's done a good job. I mean, these guys are spread really thin, so he does his best he can with it. But that would help you maybe with an example. There's other churches, Life Church TV does a very good job with their fan page. Check out Life Church TV. They do a good job. Destiny Church does a good job. There's many others out there as well.
I think probably the key strategy is cross-channel. So if you have people on Twitter, direct them to the Facebook. If you have an email list, I believe that's a really strong way of building a fan base. If you don't have any of that information yet, start getting people to fill out their email addresses and gather that and say, from the pulpit or whatever, hey, we're launching our fan page. We're going to send you an email. Please like us. And here's how we're using that fan page to reach people. Again, fitting into the strategy, fitting into the vision. And people, when they see how it lines up with what you're doing, they're more akin to join on board and to get on board with that. So
I think it's a very good point. And again, it's getting people involved that are already in your church, and then from there, it will multiply. But we really, I think over the years, the church, unfortunately, I think has pushed back against some secular things like Facebook, like MySpace. But the truth is, if you can't beat them, join them. And it's a good tool. I mean, it's a tool. Yeah, are there goofy things going on Facebook? Are there stupid things going on YouTube? Yes. But the truth is, if the church gets involved in it, it can influence it for good. And again, it's just a tool. I don't think it's evil or good or evil, whatever. It's just a line that you can use to connect with people. And there's only about 600 million people on Facebook. I mean, maybe you ought to wait a little longer. I'm being facetious. There's everybody on Facebook. So why not get on there and be a positive influence? And again, like you said too, Chris, one of the things I don't like is people getting on there and just preaching all the time. So when I say get on Facebook, we're not saying get on there and preach.
It's a two-way communication channel.
Right, exactly.
And that's probably the second biggest failure is when they're using a two-way communication channel and it's one way. I thought of this analogy. When people have an automatic response, so like on Twitter, they'll use like an auto DM. It would be like someone recording a birthday message, a generic birthday message, and having it automatically call people on their birthday. Do you feel loved? Do you feel cared for that someone took the time to record that 30-second message and it now plays 500 times a year to all of their contacts and they don't do anything? No, they don't feel cared for at all. Social media works because it's people connecting to people, and it's it is that one-on-one communication that others can see. So when I'm communicating on Twitter, I may be connecting to you, but then other people can always be perceiving what's going on. It's available in Google searches. It's public discourse. And that's why I was able to jump on someone was talking about God. I could jump on that conversation because it's public discourse.
Yeah.
So that's the power of Twitter that I see.
One of the things I have found, Chris, too, is that I've come across what I would call some big shots in the Christian community, and I have found that if they happen to follow me on Twitter, and StreamingChurch TV does have a Twitter account. It's StreamingChurch TV. We couldn't get StreamingChurch TV because I screwed it up. But it's streaming.
I can help you fix that.
I wish you would. I really do need help.
Okay.
Streaming CHUR TV. That's our Twitter account. We also have another one called Streaming Pastor, which is probably easy to remember. And then my own personal one is Phil Thompson Live. But I have found that some of the big shots that have happened to follow us for some reason, if I direct message him from Twitter, I've gotten a response from some of these guys. And I've had them on the show. I've working on a couple already, and where if I just tried to call them or email them, I didn't seem to get far. But they seem to respond on Twitter. And some of them have told me, no, we're not going on your stinking show. It's cheap. It's stupid. But others have said, oh, yeah, I'd love to be on, And so, again, it's that two-way thing that you're talking about here, which is so valuable. If you don't take advantage of it, and if you don't take the time to respond, it minimizes its value.
Absolutely.
All right. Tell me, we got a couple minutes left here. And by the way, if you have a question for Chris, you can certainly type it in here. In fact, even after we're done broadcasting, we'll be online for a couple minutes. We'll shut the video off, but we'll still chat, okay? So which camera am I on? I don't even know which one. My producer there. Let me ask you a question here about the company you work for. It's called the J3 Effect.
That's great.
Because I know you guys do a lot. Tell us, take a moment to tell us what you guys do.
Well,
you're over there.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
We go in, and I'd say the best part of our service is what I've been saying this whole time. It's the strategy. We go in and we help define what is the strategy for a company to use social media. And then we go in and we set up social media platforms. We determine which ones would be the best use of our time and of your time to set up. So if it's Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, great. We're going to do those. We're going to mainly focus on Facebook. And then we have a social media angel. And she goes in and she spends, depending upon what account it is, anywhere from a half an hour to an hour a day, going in and posting content on those social media properties, checking if someone's responding, if someone's talking to that account. Let's say it was a live church, and she was, someone was having a conversation with a live. She would be talking with them and making sure that they're being heard and that someone's responding to them. If they ask a very specific question that she doesn't know the answer to, then she refers it to someone else. And then my job is the manager over our social media angels. So I go in and make sure that we're doing the right strategy. If there's something else coming out, like recently, I'm really excited about paper.li. It's an awesome tool to use for Twitter. Aggregates all sorts of stuff. I have no time to talk about it, but it's fantastic. I want to put a video together of how I'm using it, and I'm getting responses every day from people that.
What's it called again?
It's paper.li. It's really awesome.
Okay. I have no idea what that is.
I'll show it to you. I think you'll really like it.
Okay.
But it's a great tool. It combines automatic with that personal touch, and really makes it pulls together so much information. So I won't talk about that. But
and you guys mainly work for secular companies, right? I mean, you don't necessarily do churches, although you could.
No, we have a school. We have a loan company that does small business loans.
Okay.
We have an architecture firm. And really, we think of it as handcrafted marketing.
And so you manage their social media for
absolutely.
them. Because they're busy doing what they do best. But you guys can step in and help in that area.
Exactly.
And help them with getting customers and all that.
And really, it's a partnership. So even though we're doing most of it, we're constantly having to call them and say, hey, this person was talking to you. This is what they said. What would your response be? And then we respond to them once we know the answer.
Okay.
Or then we hand it off, hey, you should call this number for more information. So It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, and learning how to be strategic and really focus in on the best use of our time.
Strategic's a key word. Okay, we're out of time. You can always check out their website. The website is it's the j3effect.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
The number 3 effect.com. So you can check that out.
And we also have a blog, the j3effectblog.com, which we're kind of moving our stuff over to. But
okay, awesome. Okay. We're out of time. I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
If you have any questions, we're going to sign off here, but we'll be on here for a moment or so. If you want to type anything in, we'll hang around a little bit. Thanks so much. I'm Phil Thompson with Streaming Church TV for Steve Lacey and Chris Porter. God bless you guys. We'll see you next time.